This is ESPN's First Take.
Hi, I'm Carrie Champion, and this is ESPN's First Take. I'm here with Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. This past Friday was the one-year anniversary of the Northwestern football team voting to unionize or not. 1 year later, paying college athletes is still a hot topic, so that's what we'll be discussing today.
Stephen A., it is ridiculous that these athletes are out there on the football field and on the basketball courts, putting their body on the line, making millions of dollars for the university, and they're not receiving diddly squat in return. I just cannot believe the NCAA is still referring to these young men as student athletes. They're not there to learn. They're there to make money for the schools.
Skip, as much as I agree with that, absolutely egregious that these athletes are getting nothing while they are out there grinding, working their butts off. It is blatantly obvious that you have not done your research.
Stephen A., what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that it is very misleading when you say that these universities are making millions off of their football and basketball teams. While it is true that these young men generate quite the profit for their schools, most of the money is actually used to help support other athletic programs in their respective schools. Most Division I schools are losing money off of their athletic programs.
So what? These athletic programs should support themselves, and if they can't, they should be cut. If they're in the way of these great athletes from getting what they deserve, then these programs should be thrown out.
I cannot believe that you have the gall to say that. The audacity of that statement is unbelievable. The athletes that you are talking about have earned to be in the position that they are in, just as well as any other football or basketball player. It is so disrespectful. They have sacrificed just as much. I will tell you that the NCAA, as greedy as they are in fact not the main cause of this predicament.
Are you crazy? The NCAA isn't to blame? Who could you possibly blame then? The NCAA has systematically taken advantage of these young men and given them next to nothing in return.
I'm not claiming that the NCAA is blameless. What I'm trying to tell you is that what really prevents transcendent young men from capitalizing their talents in the NFL or NBA rules on the first-year player's eligibility. There is no reason if a young man wishes to take his talents to a professional level that he should not be able to do so.
Where does that leave the schools then? You claim that few are already making a profit. If they use these programs to subsidize other aspects of their university, then what happens when all the money generated by college football and basketball goes poof?
Skip, we both know that college football and college basketball have a cult-like followings by millions of people. We need to let these athletes do what they want professionally right out of high school.
High school athletes don't have the ability to...
To what? Are you trying to suggest that they cannot compete with professional athletes?
Precisely, Stephen A. And more important than the gap in talent, these young men are simply not developed enough physically to compete against grown men.
That is acid 9, acid 10, acid 11. Are you forgetting about my dear friend, Mr. Kobe Bryant? The best player in basketball right now is LeBron James, and he didn't even go to college. It is not the normal occurrence, but it is blasphemous to suggest that there are no other athletes out there with the capabilities to do it.
I'll give you that. You got me there. But what about football players? The physical difference between high school football and professional football is so great.
In the past, I would have agreed with you. But players are more and more developed and ready when they go to college. And some young players have now flat out transcended. Jadeveon Clowney is a bad man. He was a bad man coming out of high school. Sources have told me that he would have been a top 10 pick coming out of high school.
What about those players who aren't ready to play with the professionals yet and choose to anyway?
That is why I'm also proposing that the NFL produce a minor league system like the MLB and the NBA to revamp its minor league system. The NFL spends nothing on their minor league system.
They don't spend anything because they don't have one.
Oh, you are dearly mistaken, Skip. They have college football, the greatest minor league system in sports. Meanwhile, the D-League is a joke. These leagues are making millions and are skating by spending little to nothing on the development of these athletes.
Stephen A., what you were suggesting would take years to accomplish. This needs to be fixed right now.
I don't mean to sound trite, but Rome was not built in a day. My mother taught me that anything worth doing is worth doing right, and I firmly believe that.
I see where you're coming from, but I don't understand why we can't keep everything the way it is and pay the athletes with some sort of cap.
Why? Because if you think that college athletes are corrupt now with how some players are paid under the table, then what do you think is going to happen once they start getting paid? Money and other improper benefits are a hell of a lot easier to spot when it is not supposed to be there. When you say you can get this much of this and this much of that, how do you keep track of what's allowed and what isn't?
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, Stephen A.
There's no skin off my back. You may not agree with what I'm saying, but let me just tell you that if college athletes began to be paid, it would be a grave mistake. You're just substituting one evil for another. And as you know, two wrongs do not make a right. You simply cannot say that paying these athletes is the best solution. They have earned it, but it isn't the right way to do it. You just have other athletes out there struggling even more than your typical college athlete already is. Paying these athletes would only raise the already astronomical cost of tuition. The only way that most will be fair for everyone is to let these kids make their own choice to go pro right out of high school.
Well, that's all the time that we have today. I'll see you here next time on First Take.